Hey guys, it's me, Desi Arnaz, professional investor, and today I'm going to be talking with you about something that's going to blow your mind. I guarantee it. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can take a $1,000 investment and earn some amazing returns and grow it into $80,000 inside your retirement account. And by the way, you can repeat this process again and again and again to where you literally have millions of dollars inside your retirement account following this strategy. Now, if you're a note investor, you may have heard of this strategy, but you may not be very clear on how it works. And if you're not a note investor, you're going to look at this and go, holy smokes, how could I not have known about this? So get ready, guys. Hold on, because we're going to move right on through this, and it's going to be a great ride for you, okay? The strategy that I'm sharing with you today is called a partial tail strategy. Now, if you're in the note business, you know what a tail is. It's the back end of a mortgage note. In other words, if there's a 30-year mortgage, the front end of that would be the first 15 to 20 years, and the back end would be like the last 10 to 15 years. So that's the tail end of the note. So what we're talking about here is a partial tail strategy. Now, a partial is when you don't buy an entire note. So we're combining literally two strategies and making this thing happen. So what you're looking at here on the screen right now, this chart that I developed to show you how the loan pays off over time. The most valuable part of this mortgage is the front end of the mortgage. And the reason that that's the most valuable is because a dollar today is more valuable than a dollar in 25 or 30 years. And so since the mortgage payments are coming in now and for the next 10, 15, whatever number of years in the front end of this note, that's the most valuable part of the paper. The back end is less valuable. But here's what's really cool. Today, the very first mortgage payment is the most valuable mortgage payment. 15 years from now, though, the payment that wasn't that valuable back then is now the first mortgage payment or the next mortgage payment due, right? So that makes it more valuable at that point. So in other words, the back end of the loan now is going to be the front end of the loan later. And buying and investing this way, you're able to actually sell the front end of the note, the most valuable part, and you keep the least valuable part until it becomes more valuable. That's kind of the strategy. 85% of the value is in the front end of a note. 15% of the value is in the back end of a mortgage note. And so you can get a lot of money selling the front end of the note. So let me just show you this example. In this example here, we're going to talk about how you can buy a 30-year mortgage note. Now, it can be a 20-year, it could be a 10-year, it could be a 15-year, but in this example, I'm just using a 30-year because everybody's familiar with a 30-year mortgage, right? So let's just say you're going to sell the front half of that. So you're going to sell 15 years, and then you're going to keep 15 years. So that's the idea. So let me show you how to structure this type of deal, okay? So to begin with, there has to be a house that gets sold with a mortgage on it. So let's just say the property that was sold was valued at $120,000. The buyer put down $20,000 and borrowed $100 from the bank. Okay, so they took a 30-year note and they're paying 8% interest. Now it works with 5% or 3% or 12%. It doesn't really matter in that sense. You need to get the concept here. But let's just say they're paying an 8% interest rate on this note. That would put their monthly payment at $734. And the way that you get that is you put those factors into a financial calculator, and it will tell you how much the monthly payment is. Okay? So here's what you do. You buy the entire note for $70,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you're not in the note business, you're saying, wait a minute, don't they owe $100,000 to the bank? And the answer is yes, they do. Their mortgage balance is $100,000. However, when mortgages get transferred between lenders, they're not transferred at 100 cents on the dollar. They're usually transferred with something called a discount. And so what we're talking about here is buying a mortgage note that has a balance due of $100,000, but only paying $70,000 for the note. If you're in this business, you know that that's doable. So let me just show you how this works out. On the left side of our chart here, you're going to see that I've got the loan balance, right? Starting at $120,000 in this place here. And you can see at $100,000 is where the green numbers kind of kick in right there, right? Where the green chart kicks in because they borrowed $100,000. And then if you follow it over on the bottom side, on the bottom axis, you can see it goes out to 360 payments. That's 30 years worth of payments. So you can see that the balance drops down from 100,000 slowly to 300. After 360 months, the balance drops down to zero. Okay. So, can you buy a $70,000? Can you buy a $100,000 note for $70,000 and get a $30,000 discount? Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, that's a 12.25% yield. Now, let me explain that briefly. The reason that you're investing $70,000 and earning 12.25 when the homeowner is only paying 8% seems like it's just not even possible, right? How can you be earning more than what they're paying? Well, you're earning 8% on the $70,000, but you're also earning 8% on that $30,000 that you didn't even have to invest. So when you add the 8% on the 30,000 to the 8% on the 70,000, and then you reverse engineer the yield, you are earning 12.25% on your $70,000 investment. That's not too shabby. Now, do we ever see notes? Those of you that are in the business, you know the answer to this question, but do you ever see notes at 12.25%? Of course you do, all the time. Okay, so this is not something that's pie in the sky that I'm talking about. So here's the idea. You're going to buy the full note, all 30 years. And then in this example, we're going to say sell the front end. Sell 156 payments of the note, and you're going to sell it for $69,000. Now remember, you paid $70,000 for the note, so you sell it for $69,000, and that leaves you with only $1,000 invested in this note. Now, why would somebody pay you $69,000 to buy 156 payments? They will buy the next 156 payments that are coming through. See, that's the most valuable side of this mortgage note, right? And that's why they're willing to do that. They're going to literally be earning an 8.54% return on their money. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think there's people out there earning less than 8.5% on their money? Yes or no? Of course there are. Most people are earning less than 8.5%. So when you can offer them an 8.5% return on their money for the next 13 years, that's 156 payments. They can earn 8.5% per year for the next 13 years by buying the front end of this note. Why wouldn't they? And by the way, that's the lowest rate that they can expect to earn on their money. It could actually get better than that with an early payoff, which I'll show you an example of that here in just a minute. But you're going to keep the back 204 payments because remember, there are 360 payments. So since you sold 156 of them, you keep the last 204. So those are yours. And at the time that you get this mortgage note back from the people that bought the note from you, the homeowner will still owe $81,688. Now, how is that possible that they could pay $734 a month for 13 years on a $100,000 balance and still owe $81,000? Because if you do the math, $734 a month for 13 years for 156 payments is $114,500. And that is because if you've ever had a mortgage, you know that the front end of the loan, when you first take out a mortgage, most of that monthly payment is what? Interest. You see, mortgages are front loaded with interest, and interest is nothing more than profit for the bank. Now, when banks designed the mortgages, do you think they knew what they were doing when they said, look, let's just collect mostly interest up front? See, they know that most people don't even keep their houses very long. Most people sell their houses within 7 to 10 years, right? Or they refinance the mortgage. So the bank's going to earn all that interest right up front. And since we buy the note and we now own the note, we are the bank. But what we're going to do is we're going to sell 156 payments. You guys with me? They're still going to owe you $81,688. So let's just say 13 years and 1 day later, these people pay off the mortgage. Now, at that point, the mortgage is back in your hands, right? So they pay off the mortgage. That means they owe you $81,688. Remember, you only had $1,000 invested, so your $1,000 has grown to $81,000 over the last 13 years. That means every single year your $1,000 grew by 34.4%. That's your annual return year after year after year. Can you believe that? 34% return. Banks today are paying less than 1%, less than 0.5%. And here you are, you have $1,000 invested that's earning 34%. Wow. And by the way, when you sold the front end of this note for $69,000, couldn't you just go out and do the same thing again? Sure you could, right? You can repeat the process again and again and again. That's how this game is played. That's how you become wealthy. This is called financial intelligence. Now, let me show you this. As I said earlier, most people don't keep their houses for 30 years, right? Or certainly they don't keep a mortgage for 30 years. Even if they keep their house, they refinance, they take out a second mortgage, all that kind of stuff, right? So let's just say 5 years in, these people decide to pay off the mortgage. Well, after they've been paying $734 a month for 5 years, they still owe $95,000 on the balance. Again, because most of that $734 is interest. Very little of it is principal, which pays down the balance. So they still owe $95,000. So how does this money get divvied up? Because remember, you sold the front end of the note, but you didn't sell the whole note. So that means you're entitled to some of this $95,000. Well, there are formulas to calculate it, but I've charted it out so that you can see how the math works out. Remember, an investor paid $69,000 to buy 156 payments, but he can't help it that it pays off early. These people paid off in 60 months, not 156 months. And so what happens now is everybody gets a square deal, right? Nobody gets cheated out of anything. The money is prorated. $50,900 of that money goes to the person that bought the front end of the note. And here's how it works out for them. They collect $50,900 right now when the loan gets paid off. They've already collected $44,000 in monthly payments over the previous 5 years. So all total, they have $94,900 in their account, and they only invested $69,000. So if you put that into your financial calculator and you say, look, what rate of return have I earned on my money? I started with $69,000. I now have almost $95,000. It took place over 5 years, and I collected $734 a month in the process, right? You put that into your financial calculator and look at that return. Your investor that bought the front end of the note earned 17.5% per year. ROI, return on investment. Dude, who wouldn't want that? Right? So you see, they bought in at 8.5%, right? Remember, I showed you they were buying at 8.54%, but because it paid off early, their yields went up too, because most of the money they collected was interest, not principal, as the monthly payments were coming in. You see? So it's a really, really fabulous way to invest. But how did you do? Let's take a look at your numbers. So $95,000 was paid off. $50,900 goes to the person that owns the front end of the note. The other $44,000 goes to guess who? That's right. It goes to you. Right into your retirement account. $44,150 goes right into your retirement account. That's not too bad, is it? Because you only had $1,000 invested in this thing. That works out to be for you a 78% return on your $1,000 investment. 78%. Can you imagine going to a bank and saying, I want to invest $1,000 and I want you to pay me 78% interest? First of all, they'd have you committed into the loony bin, right? It's like, no, that's not going to happen ever, right? We'll never do that. Well, you don't need them to do that. You can engineer these notes yourself. This is exactly why when I saw mortgage notes in 2013, I thought, holy smokes, I've been on the wrong side of the real estate table for more than 30 years at that point, right? I've been borrowing money. I should have been the lender, not the borrower. You see, now I'm in the money business. I'm not in the real estate business. In this scenario, you can earn a 78% return on your money And you don't have to deal with any tenants. You don't have to deal with any vacancies, any taxes, any trash, or none of that stuff. You're the bank, right? No plumbing problems, no roof leak problems. These are not your problems. You're the bank. This is fantastic. This is why banks don't flip houses. This is why banks don't build subdivisions and all the other things that real estate investors do. But banks make a fabulous return by just being in the money business. This is called financial intelligence. Financial intelligence. And once you're financially intelligent and you understand how money works, then that's when you can start to really write your own ticket, right? And so you can learn that at investbrilliantly.com and at the noteinvestoruniversity.com. If you want to just see some free things and get a lot of free education, just head over to investbrilliantly.com. And if you want to actually get trained and mentored to be financially intelligent and to learn how to do the kinds of strategies and implement the kinds of strategies that I just finished describing for you here, then head over to noteinvestoruniversity.com and get yourself signed up to learn this stuff. I have an online course that you will take. I have several free online courses, but I also have a certification course so you can get certified as a note investing specialist. So you can earn your certification there. It's very inexpensive, considering that it's going to make you wealthy too. It's just a no-brainer once you go there and you see how inexpensive it is to become a part of our coaching program. And by the way, it is true coaching. You get one-on-one coaching and you get group coaching. And you have video-based training. We have weekly meetings with all of our students and partners where we do group coaching, and we bring on special people to teach you guys the ins and outs of the mortgage note business. So head on over to Note Investor University. Check us out there. If you want to just do the free stuff, head over to investbrilliantly.com. And on that site, if you decide you want to move forward, you can always click there from there to head over to the university and get yourself signed up into our note investing, mentoring, and training program. This is life-changing stuff. And by the way, once you learn how to do this stuff, it is your responsibility to teach it to the next generation, which is what I'm trying to do right now. Okay, I've become wealthy doing this stuff, and now I'm trying to just help others. And that's one of the reasons my program is so inexpensive. I've had people tell me I wasn't even going to sign up for your program because it was so inexpensive. Everybody else is asking $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to do this. You're hardly anything. Yours is so inexpensive that I thought there must not be any value. Well, you see, guys, that's not the case. I'm not trying to become wealthy by teaching and mentoring. I'm already wealthy. I'm trying to pay it forward. So if you want to learn how to become wealthy, I'm happy to teach you until I retire. Once I retire, then that's it, right? But right now I'm still working. So take advantage of it. Join me. Let me help you guys change your life around. And then it's your job to help the next generation. God bless you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. This is powerful stuff.